I'm Dan Feferman.
And I'm Benny Scholder. Welcome to Jewanced.
We're two Jewish guys. We grew up in America. We live in Israel. And we're looking to challenge popular conceptions, think critically, examine independently, and most of all, seek nuance.
Each episode will host a different guest. Together, we'll take a deep dive into politics, foreign affairs, religion, science, technology, food, the arts, business, you name it. A lot of it will deal with the Jewish world in Israel, but not all.
Our goal? To create a platform where people share their stories, insights, and visions. No talking points, no script, no agenda. Just a deeper, nuanced understanding of the world around us.
Join us as we explore, think, debate, and discuss, and perhaps most of all, listen. Jewanced.
You know, like nuanced, but with a J?
Yeah, they get it. Dude, let's just start. Greetings out there in podcast land, everybody. This is Ben and Danny. Dan coming at you with another live episode of Jewanced.
Special live episode.
Very special live episode. Dan, how you doing, man?
I am doing amazing. I say that every week, but I truly mean it this week.
He really, really, really means it this week. He's absolutely amazing. And the reason that Dan is amazing is that Dan got back, I think he got back on Wednesday. From
Thursday morning
after a lengthy delay in Ethiopia, which is another story for another time, if you ask Dan, from his first ever trip to the U.A.E. Dan has been, I should say this, Dan is like a little boy who's come back after a very long trip to a candy store.
It's true.
He cannot stop talking about his experiences to me, to his wife, to his kids, to his Facebook friends, to his work colleagues. Everybody and everybody is just hearing all about Dan's amazing time in the U.A.E. And he's been wearing this hat and this shirt, rocking it ever since he's been back. And I think if our guests chime in, they'll say that he was wearing those things as well when he was in the U.A.E. Dan, what's going on? You've been back.
I'm back.
You're back. How was your trip?
I had an amazing trip. I really did. The place is amazing, but more than that, I got to meet some incredible people. I got to meet Emiratis and spend time with them, including and especially the four guests that we will introduce shortly. And I got to know the people. I got to know the culture. I got to know a little bit to see the world from their worldview. And I was blown away in the most positive way possible. And this episode, Meet the Emiratis, as we called it, which we've been trying to get off the ground for a while. I'm glad that actually we're doing it after my trip and not before.
Me too.
And we'll talk about that shortly.
And I have to say, if you've joined us in the podcast, like me, we've survived the past week of our lives all around the world. We've survived the U.S. elections. They happened. And we're all still here. And, let's just give ourselves a pat on the back. It's November 10th, and we've survived until November 10th this year. So congratulations to us all. We're doing all right. So before we begin, we have a couple of messages for you. Dan, why don't you?
I will. Yeah. There's a saying in the Mishnah, in Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of Our Fathers, one of our holy books. It says, Ladun kol adam lekav zchut. You should judge your fellow man, your fellow person, justly, righteously, favorably. Give people the benefit of the doubt. So the United States, and with it, much of the rest of the world, just experienced a tumultuous week, maybe the culmination of a very divisive election period, maybe the culmination of a very divisive 4-year presidency, regardless of which side of that spectrum you support, and regardless of whether you're an American or not, American politics affect us all. I personally made the mistake of trying to engage people that I know, that I don't know, online in good faith conversation, only to be attacked, to have my words twisted by both sides. Progressives think I'm a racist, misogynist, Trump-supporting fascist. Conservatives attack me for being a progressive, socialist, baby-killing Iran and Palestinian terrorist supporter. The list goes on and on. Mind you, I wasn't even supporting any of those sides. I rarely voice my true views in public. I was trying to point out that the positions that they were representing of the other side were caricaturized. They were talking in such hyperbole language, mischaracterizing the other side, that I was just trying to point out, no, that's not what Democrats think. No, that's not what Republicans actually think. I am sorry for trying to do that. Our main goal when we launched this podcast, besides overcoming the boredom of the COVID close downs, was to establish
No boredom. No boredom at all.
Was to establish what we feel is a sorely needed platform for nuance, especially in the Israel and Jewish sphere, hence the name, to be able to discuss, to reach better understandings of reality and of each other. One should be able to appreciate, for example, what the Trump administration did for Israel and the Jewish people without liking his personality or other domestic aspects of the presidency. One can prefer certain aspects of Joe Biden or the Democratic Party without being a supporter of, let's say, the anti-Semitic or anti-Zionist elements within the Democratic Party. People, whether they vote or not, they only have two candidates or two parties to choose from. We're humans. We're individuals. We are complex by our nature. We should not be able to be packaged into these neat little boxes that completely identify us. By the way, some people like to be in those little boxes where you're totally in line with the Democrats or the Republicans or this party or that party if you're in Israel or whatever country you're in. But we all have our unique situations. We all have our unique upbringings, our worldviews. And each candidate, each party has a long list of positions and priorities on various topics. Even among us Jews, for some Jews, social justice, let's say, and domestic issues are what's important for them as Jews. For others, it's Israel and defending Israel and promoting issues that are important to Israel. And those are the most important parts of being Jewish. For some, it's fighting the anti-Semitism from the left. For others, it's the anti-Semitism from the right. People, we have plenty of challenges as the Jewish people. We don't need to be fighting amongst ourselves over which challenges to take on.
So I'd just like to add to that, a major influencing factor, and this is going to be so ironic because many of you are actually watching this on social media, a major influencing factor that we believe is integral towards creating, sustaining the prevailing social and cultural dynamic experience currently in the West and around the world is the presence of social media, which has really become over the past decade the main method of communication between us, either as groups or individuals, as well as our primary source for news and information. So whereas language kind of shapes the way that we think, our patterns and our psychology, and by default, social media platforms either limit the length of our communications or encourage short or efficient text or photos or videos instead of text. The prolific usage of it has had the effect, the undesired effect, I believe, of limiting nuance in the public discourse. So whereas our human biology makes us prefer those people with similar mindsets, interests, and politics to ourselves, this has really created and sustained great, vast echo chambers of people who share such similarities. And since nuance is discouraged by the form of these platforms and anonymity is possible through the distance of the internet, people have given themselves the liberty to disagree with one another with increased levels of verbal violence, which is really not something that we'd like to encourage. So rather than listening to one another and working towards finding commonalities and compromise. So again, these echo chambers have caused us to see people that are different from us as the other. They encourage tribalism and make people much more susceptible to populism and shallow discourse from leaders, no matter which side of the aisle that you are on. And if you disagree, I'll give you a quick thought experiment. Can you imagine how we might perceive the world today had social media never been invented? Do you remember what your life was like before you had social media accounts? This is not a crusade against social media. This isn't a crusade at all. This is just to encourage people to reach out to people that they perceive as different from them. The world has enough issues these days. We need to remember that we all have and share a common humanity. That's what brought us together to begin with when we first went down the line of reaching out through social media. And we should be encouraged to find the unity that we so deeply desire in our societies these days, to reach out and really overcome the challenges that we as humanity have, and they are great. So
we opened with the line from the Mishnah to judge every person, to give them the benefit of the doubt. Politics used to be, or ideally, let's say, should revolve around the concept that we all truly want what is best for our societies, okay? And we argue about the best way to do that. Inherent in such an understanding is that our political rivals are not evil, they're not disgusting, they're not subhuman, they're not monsters, okay? They think they're doing what is best for society, and they reach their conclusions, and they made their choices. We should hope in logical ways, even if we disagree with the ways they reached it or their conclusions. So let none of us think that we alone have a monopoly on truth and wisdom, and that only we know what is the proper course. Let's be more humble in our interactions with others. Let us engage people of differing political opinions with an openness to listen and not just talk. I think on many matters, we'll find that we have much more in common than what separates us. And even if we don't, I think we'll find that our fellow citizens and humans reach their political conclusions through reason, through logic, and through good intentions. So we'll end that kind of opening message as the US, where many of our listeners are based, and the world just went through kind of this tumultuous period. And
so with that, we welcome you to this special live episode of Jewanced Meet the Emiratis. I promise it'll be more fun going here on out. So just a quick note, this special episode is being sponsored by the Jewish agency Partnership Together for the Western Galilee, bringing together 16 Jewish communities in the US, Europe, and Israel. And real quick, go through those communities. We've got Fort Worth, Texas, Austin, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Budapest, Hungary, Youngstown, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, and Toledo, Ohio. In the state of Nebraska, Omaha. In New York, we have the city of Buffalo. In Kentucky, Louisville. Iowa with Des Moines. Indiana has the Jewish Federations of Northwest Indiana, South Bend, Fort Wayne, and Indianapolis. In Illinois, Peoria and Springfield. Partnered with the communities in Israel of Akko and Mate Asher.
Awesome. And it is also co-sponsored by the Jewish Federation of St. Joe Valley. That's South Bend. That's where I'm originally from. And that is the federation that kicked this kind of whole event off. And by the U.A.E. Israel Business Council, of which I'm a part of, and which allowed me to meet our guests today that we're going to introduce, who are members in one way or another of the council or of the forum that came out of the council. And as I said at the beginning, and I really mean it, Dubai, and I'm sure the rest of the UAE, but I couldn't really leave Dubai, is truly a magnificent place. But it's the people. It's the people, especially these four people, but it's the people that made the biggest impression on me. Truly nice, welcoming, thoughtful, and humble people. And I can't wait to get back, and it might be sooner than than we think. But before we get into our episode,
so check it out. Jewanced so far has enjoyed tremendous success. We have listeners literally all over the world in every continent except Antarctica. Real quickly, the U.S. and Israel are our biggest markets, and strangely enough, India right now is our third largest market.
So is the UAE.
And of course, the UAE as well. So as we continue to grow in leaps and bounds.
As is our background, if anybody noticed, it just keeps growing really, by leaps and bounds.
Really big. We want to make sure that we can continue to produce top-notch content for you. So as we are a listener-supported podcast, consider helping us continue to expand by becoming a supporter today. You can make a one-time donation or a small monthly contribution and become a sponsor and advertise your business or organization on our platform. For more information, check out our newly revamped website at www.jewanced.com.
And before we start, lastly, we would like to invite Bracha Tsuriel, the consortium area director from Ma'ale Adumim of the Jewish Agency Partnership, who was instrumental behind putting this whole event together, to offer a few words.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for enabling us to be a part of this evening. It's very exciting to see everybody on the line, and to see for us a lot of new faces. The partnership together. This specific partnership, one of the 46 partnerships of the Jewish Agency program of Partnership Together. And I was very impressed by your listing of all the communities. We are 16 American communities, 2 communities in Israel and Budapest, Hungary, who all make up this partnership together. And particular note to our friends in South Bend, who brought us to be the co-sponsors of this evening's event. The partnership is a platform of connections. And that's what we do. We connect people. We can make connections through all different areas of content, of education, medical, academic, arts, music, any connecting language of connecting people from these American communities to Budapest, to Israel, to strengthen all of our identities and our feelings and our will and motivation to be involved and active in our own communities. So we really are very excited, coming from Israel, very excited with this new relationship with the UAE, and very excited to meet the people who are online tonight. So thank you on behalf of the partnership. Thank you to all of us, our chair, our Israeli chair is here with us. I see Efrat, and our director, Sharon, and some of our staff. And we thank also, I want to thank Gil and the other staff for all the work they did in putting together tonight's broadcast. So thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Bracha. So without further ado, we would like to introduce our four guests, or more importantly, to have them introduce themselves. So we have with us today the wonderful May Al-Badi, Mr. Thani Al-Shirawi, Nora El-Awadhi, and Ahmed El-Mansouri. Guys, why don't we start with May? Just give us a brief ID card of yourselves. Who are you? What do you do? Family? Where do you live? And where you went to school, etc. So introduce yourself to our wonderful audience today.
בעברית או אנגלית?
May, you will find out, has been learning Hebrew for quite some time.
So my name is May Al-Badi. I'm from Abu Dhabi, and I'm a shareholder in my family group of companies. I'm also involved personally in promoting cultural and culinary diplomacy. I'm currently writing a book about Emirati food for the kosher home. It's not just a cookbook. It will also have an introduction on kashrut. It will talk about the Jewish community of the Emirates and the Emirati history and traditions. I studied media, and then I took an executive master's in business administration, but my real passion is cultural diplomacy and promoting my country.
Thank you. Thani, please introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Thani the
thank you,
man.
Dan. Thank you very much. I am Thani Al-Shirawi. I'm from Dubai. I studied business administration and I've been working in a family business. I'm the deputy managing director of the business. We are diversified into different businesses from construction to industries. And I'm very much passionate about this normalization. And every day I pinch myself to make sure that I'm not dreaming, because I didn't expect that this will happen in my lifetime. And I'm very happy that I was wrong and I'm experiencing it.
Thank you very much. Nora, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nora Al-Awadi. My voice is a bit funny. I'm sick. Anyways, I'm from Dubai. I'm 30. I'm single. I studied networking and security, but I work as a project manager in risk management in the banking sector. However, that is not my passion whatsoever. I am a pro-peace person. I'm all about that. And I'm trying to share my country's vision with the rest of the world by spreading peace and love and endorsing normalization all over the world.
And for those of you who aren't familiar, Nora is behind the iconic photo that has since gone viral of the two women standing in front of the Burj Al Khalifa with the flags of the UAE and Israel. So she is obviously holding the Emirati flag. Thank you. And Ahmed, please tell us a few words about yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, shalom everyone. My name is Ahmed Al-Mansouri. I am a forensic scientist from Abu Dhabi police, and I'm single. I went to school in Ohio State. So for those from Ohio, go Bucks. And
okay, we have to kick you off the show now. I'm sorry. This is Notre Dame country, man.
And I also lived in Richmond, Virginia, where I finished my degree. And when they first started this normalization, my first intent was this: meet Jewish people, show them who Emiratis are, and just let them see, like, we're just normal people who love people. That's it. And I don't, it's just been very, very surreal. Just like Fanny said, it's unreal. Like the experiences, the time I spent with Dan in UAE, spending Shabbat with him, all of it was, I cannot say how amazing it was.
You're gonna make me cry, dude. We can't do that on the show.
Romance.
You can't cry.
I can't cry. I can't cry. On the show.
You could. You could. I just.
Okay, so we're gonna kick off with a series of questions, and throughout there's gonna be audience participation, and at the end we'll hopefully have some time for Q&A. So, since many of our listeners probably are not familiar with the history of the UAE, and since May, since you took me to the Etihad Museum and you're a big fan of Emirati history, please tell us in just a couple of minutes, kind of the story of the UAE. How old is it? How did it come together? If we can do that in 2 or 3 minutes, and then if others want to add, you're welcome.
Dan, we are almost 50 years old since the union in 1971, and we were united by a great leader and a father to all of us, Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, and yes. And his focus was to develop a state-of-the-art infrastructure, human development, education, healthcare, among a lot of other focuses. And he wanted to create and have a livable community from all over the world. And today we have around just over 200 nationalities from all over the world living in the UAE. And, they come from different backgrounds, different cultures and religion. Basically, we are 7 states united by a friendship treaty in 1971, 2nd of December. I also want to add something that, doing business or coming to the UAE, it's not just about doing business. Like before that, for us, having a relationship, understanding the Emirati culture, and understanding our society, and meeting the people, and building that friendship, that trust. These are exciting times for us, and I think we should get to know each other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What if you or Thani or Ahmed, Nora, and what was life like? Now Dubai is like really the most futuristic kind of big shining city. I think
Dude, you came back and you were like, it's like 20 years in the future.
It's 20 years in the future.
Else you've ever seen.
No kidding. And again, I was only in Dubai. I didn't have the chance to get out of Dubai due to COVID. But who wants to kind of answer the question of what was it like even 20 years ago, and certainly 50 years ago when the UAE was founded? Just give us a glimpse into what we're talking about. And we always talk about the amazing leap in Israel from what it used to be, a few decades ago, and certainly the founding of the country in 48. We've all seen the pictures and what Israel is today. So if we imagine what the UAE is now and what it's been able to accomplish in a shorter period of time, it's mind-boggling. I don't know. Thani, do you want to jump on this one? You gotta unmute you.
Sorry. Thank you, Dan. To be honest, I think we touched upon this when you were here. I'm only 45. I was born in 1975. So my memory of the 70s is not so much. But what I can tell you for sure, Dubai and Abu Dhabi and all of the and Sharjah to larger and Sharjah went through two transformations, if I would say. I remember 3 different cities. when the Dubai or the Abu Dhabi that I grew up in, and then the Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Sharjah during the transformation and now, you will not recognize the city at all. Where you stayed, Dan, in the 80s, we used to go there for camping and we to go there to see the stars. That was the desert for us. And you remember how busy that place was when you were there. The marina that came that came very close to your hotel where you were staying, that was non-existent. We actually dug that. Unfortunately, you did not get the chance to go and see the city of Abu Dhabi, the capital, where Abu Dhabi by itself, if you see the buildings there, like the Dar building and the Louvre and the Qasr al-Imarat, Emirates Palace, and of course the other buildings that they have, and the transformation of the Corniche and the transformation of the other areas. If you were here 20 years ago, you will not recognize that city at all. And for us growing, of course, we are proud of our country. We are proud of the transformation, and we keep this very close to our heart. I hope I answered your question. If I missed anything, I'll be more than happy. And if I missed anything, my colleagues can jump in and add.
Nora, Ahmed, would you like to add anything?
I like how he called us his colleagues. Dude, we're family. So,
but yeah, and I'm the oldest.
No, we're okay. So I don't remember anything, but I know that since my dad is a photographer, he's been taking pictures of the UAE, like a before and after picture, from starting from the late 70s, I'm assuming, going into the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. I've seen the transformation, and but I don't know if you guys, Dan, have you been to Jumeirah Road?
I think so. Ahmed is saying yes.
So that place was legit just a two-way street, nothing else. Okay, and the end of the road was, or the end of that area was the Jumeirah Beach Hotel. That was it. But you've seen it, and if you just Google search Jumeirah Road, you're going to see the buildings, you're going to see Burj Al Arab, you're going to see the beaches, the hotels, the houses. Like this transformation is unreal. It's insane, and it's top-notch great.
Awesome. Thank you.
If I may add something,
please.
I think what my family missed out on is the transformation of people. Like
yes.
the people, my grandparents, just learning how to survive, wanting to survive. They didn't want much. It was a simple life. It was very hard, very rough environment, very little resources before the oil. And after that, people started wanting to catch up with the modern world, with education and hospitals and healthcare and everything. And now I think we are at a point where we want to start where people finished. That's why I think we had an advantage of just bringing the best experts and everything in the past decade or so, and building on that. I think that's where the Emiratis are at now.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can
you.
So, I want to add something?
Please,
sure.
Yeah.
So the UAE was a land of desert inhabited by proud Bedouins, tribes, and fishing villages and date farms. Abu Dhabi consisted of several hundred palm huts, and Dubai was always a trading hub, and it was, providing a safe haven before the Straits of Hormuz and beyond. And I also want to say that the Bedouin tribes were the principal building blocks of the UAE society. Bedouin means desert dweller. And, they lived, they've been moving between Al Ain, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and that's it.
It's incredible to see, 50 years ago, Bedouins, and now, I mean, truly an advanced society. It's mind-boggling.
I can't not make the comparison that when we have tourists that are visiting us here in Israel, people always take them to Tel Aviv in front of the beach, and they say, this is 100 years ago. 100 years ago, if you were standing here, there would have been nothing but sand in this place, like a sand dune. And we always looked at that like, oh my God, that's like 100 years, like that's nothing, like 100 years ago. You guys are talking about like 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago in certain places, and then the speed of that kind of a transformation and building is truly mind blowing. Which kind of takes.
I would like to add, if you don't mind, I would like to add something. I just thought of it, which is very interesting. When my sister May said that Dubai was a trading hub. Before Dubai was a trading hub, Sharjah was, and Sharjah. And why I wanted to pause here, I would say Israel indirectly affected Dubai those days. Now, of course, you will tell me how. Sharjah overnight. Oh, thank you. Very good question. Sharjah overnight became a Nasser supporter. The British, they were controlling the trading routes during those days, or securing the trading routes, did not like Sharjah being a Nasserite state. So Dubai at that time used that as an opportunity and went to the British, and they said, we are not supporting anybody, we're supporting a trading hub. And the British moved from Sharjah to Dubai.
Interesting.
So indirectly, Israel did help us to take the trading hub from Sharjah. So thank you. It's a bit late, but thank you.
Welcome. And for those of you who have not yet gotten to know Thani, he is a huge history buff. And we're up till the late hours of the night talking about history and political theory and all sorts of interesting things.
So I guess I kind of just it's a good segue to okay, that was the transformation that brings us up to now. Here we are. You guys are on with us. It's I don't know what time it is. If it's 8:30 here, it's 10:30. Wow, we're talking about history late until the night with you guys.
That's what we do.
What do you guys what does an average day look like in your life? Ahmed?
Can you repeat that question, please?
What does an average day look like in your life?
A lot of our guests have never been to the U.A.E. They've never been to the Arab world. So kind of, what is the average life in the day of Ahmed Al-Mansouri?
Ahmed Al-Mansouri is your average 9 to 5 kind of guy, I guess. Blue collar background, policeman. By the way, I'm not speaking for the police here. I'm speaking for myself, so I don't get in trouble.
Important to clarify.
And just how do you say it? Here, the lifestyle is very much cosmopolitan, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai in general, and many other cities here. But we still stick to our roots. We like to go on our little camping trips. We like our farms. We like our camels, as you saw. We like our food. It's more family oriented than many other cultures, I would say. I noticed that you guys have the same thing on Shabbat. It's like weekend, Fridays for us. That's it, family time. Not all of us, but most, I would say. I am a single man now, but still have to go to my parents now.
So ladies out there.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just very cosmopolitan most of the time. Beach, entertainment, this kind of stuff mostly. And as you saw, there's many things to do here. It's endless, the options, the entertainment, the museums, it's just endless. You can go into one part of Dubai and be with Indians. You can go in one part of Abu Dhabi and be with Egyptians. It's endless. It's unreal. It's like a big New York.
Awesome.
That's neat.
I guess Nora, what does a day look like in your life?
Well, again, 9 to 5. But I'm lucky to still have the option to work from home. So it's perfect. Thank you, COVID. For me, I'm insane about coffee. I love coffee. So as much as I can, I try to taste and try new coffees and new coffee beans. Go to new cafes, and I don't know. I like to cruise around because, like, even while I'm in my car, blasting up that music that I like you see new stuff. Like, I'm from the UAE and I see new stuff every time I go out. I see new things. Something new is being built, something new is being planned, a different style of, I don't know, abaya. This is what we call the traditional attire for the ladies. That's a abaya, and this is a sheda. So I see new colors. I see, I don't know, new cars. So for me, it's always something new, yeah.
So like in terms of like culture and in terms of sports and music, it's very similar to, I would say, like anywhere else these days.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't, sorry to my Arab friends, I don't listen to a lot of Arabic music. I'm more into rap, R&B, hip hop kind of thing.
Israeli
Yes.
music.
Not yet. I need the hookup.
We'll work on it. I got you.
I need the hookup, and I need to drop a single. Me.
Is it, Nora, is that typical? Like, people are I guess I know in Israel too, like Western music is a major influence here as well, but like a lot of people, they listen to their Hebrew music or they listen to their traditional, more Israeli music. Is it most people are listening to a mix of local things and international things?
Yes. We have singers that we always listen to. We have Mehmet Rashid Al-Majid, Muhammad Abdu, Abd al-Majid, Ayyad al-Manhali. So those Arab singers that we always like legit go back to and listen to as in the UAE. But I still hella love me some Nicki Minaj, some G.E.D., love me some Tupac, some Biggie. I'm about that life.
Nice. And like Thani, in terms of sports.
Oh, Thani's my kind of guy because he's into American football.
Thani's muted.
He's muted, and he's saying bad things about the Dallas
I
Cowboys.
think both of us, Dan, had a bad weekend.
We had a very bad weekend.
Yeah, I know. We both had a bad weekend. Chicago lost, Dallas lost. We are playing with our third quarterback. When it comes to sports, yes, I love American football. And I think I've told Dan, I think it's God's gift to humanity. I studied in America. My first year I was in Fort Worth. So when you said that we have people from Fort Worth, I got excited. Then I moved to Boston, but my love of the Cowboys stayed with me till today. But going to sports, I would say here in the UAE, we follow the local league, but we also follow, when it comes to soccer or football, not the American football, we follow the British league and of course the Spanish. Both Barcelona and Real Madrid are very big, but of course the English league is also very big, and it became bigger when Sheikh Mansour bought Manchester City. It even became bigger in the United Arab Emirates. I mean, you will see, if you walk into a mall, you will see more people wearing the jerseys of the British, of the English league than of the local leagues. I don't know if Dan noticed that. So when it comes to sport, yes, we are local, but we are also very international. And me, as I said, I am one of these buffs that wakes up at the early times of the morning, like today. I woke up to see the Jets and the Patriots. It was a boring game, but anyways. I saw, at least I saw two, I mean, the second half.
And like you know, we here in Israel we go to the gym, we work out. Like, what's kind of maybe the fitness and exercise culture? I noticed at least Dubai is kind of a pretty fit city. If any of you want to take that question on.
You need to be here. You have to be fit, Dan. The amount of restaurants here is insane. You have to be fit. And by the way, CrossFit is big here. A lot of people do CrossFit, and you're gonna see like a whole lot of CrossFit gyms around. So it's major if you want to stay in shape and eat whatever you want. You have to stay in shape.
If I may make a comment about CrossFit, then give me a class in
My
CrossFit.
favorite topic.
Man, he made me realize how out of shape I am. Let's just leave it at that. But also cycling is becoming very big here. There's beautiful places to cycle in U.A.E, especially in Hatta in Dubai, and also in Abu Dhabi. You can cycle in what is it called? The Grand Prix of Yas Marina Autodrome, and it's amazing. You're in the best racing track in the world, and you get to cycle in it. And there's many cyclists in the U.A.E now. Thank God they're not on the road yet, like the U.S. There's in designated places.
Also, to add, if you go to the Grand Prix, don't be surprised if you see His Highness MBZ cycling next to you.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, he's a cyclist?
I mean, one thing, and I think my family will agree with me, the royal family here, they're very humble, they're very approachable. You might bump into them in the shopping centers, you might be at a red light, and then you see on your right, oh, it is MBR or MBZ or ABZ. Okay, I mean, just for the people that don't know these the abbreviations.
Okay.
MBZ is the Sheikh, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Mohammed bin Zayed. ABZ is Abdullah bin Zayed, the foreign minister, and I think everybody will remember him signing next to Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. And Mohammed bin Rashid is the ruler of Dubai. I mean, to be honest, at the moment, these three are the biggest three figures. And of course, Sheikh Khalifa, the president. But don't be surprised if you see them in a restaurant sitting there having a sandwich without a lot of security, maybe 2 or 3, and that's it.
Are they? I know this is like a sidebar from what we're talking about at the moment. Are they approachable? Like if you were to see them in the restaurant, you can, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. He might come to you.
So
himself.
approachable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what we have here. It's not, I don't, no. If you can't get within like 100 feet of BB before some security guy comes up to you and like.
And I know personally some of its security guys. I wouldn't want to mess with them.
No.
Wait, so does MBZ's bodyguards also ride bicycles next to him if he's biking? How does that work?
2. You will not see an army. Maybe 1 or 2.
Really?
That's it.
Yeah. So Nora, you talked about restaurants, and maybe we'll use this as a jump to the next question. May, you're a culinary expert. Can you tell us, and you took me on a tour, and I'm very appreciative of it, what is Emirati cuisine? What does a classic meal look like? What are some of the favorite foods? And then beyond that, like what else, because there's a lot of cultural influences from all over the world. So what else are people eating around the UAE?
Before I talk about that, Before I talk about that, I just want to mention that we have all types of sports in the UAE, including an indoor skiing facility. And also the 2019 Special Olympics World Summer Games was held in Abu Dhabi. And we of having the Israeli team participating in this big event.
Wow, fantastic.
So
Emirati
cuisine?
Yes, let's get into Emirati cuisine. What is it? How would
well,
you
it changed.
Dishes.
Sure. It changed over time, and many people could be, forgiven for, well, not so forgiven, but confusing Levantine food such as hummus, tabbouleh, falafel as a national dish due to their popularity here, but they are not. Traditional food, they were based around grains, dairy, some meat, including chicken, fowl, goats, and camel meat, which is not kosher, but was also eaten, and it was reserved for special occasions. And considering the UAE has a rich maritime history, it should come as no surprise that the sea was also a main food source. The fish like hamur and shari has became regular ingredients in Emirati cooking for years. And then I have one interesting fact. So we didn't use spices before the all the trading. We flavored the food with local flora like raf, which is a tree in the UAE. It's an indigenous flowering tree, and we used to see. I mean, our ancestors used to season the dishes with. But then, international trade routes were established, and then spices, rice, and other cooking staples came into the country. And, as I mentioned before, that, the UAE, they have, we have over 200 nationalities.
Yeah.
And having that cosmopolitan mix brings this culture and, tradition and all of that. We clearly see it in food. And and now almost any type of food is available. Soon we will have Israeli cuisine.
We'll make sure to get some of our best Israeli chefs out there soon.
I'm sure he's joking. I'm sure they're probably already planning on it. They're already there. They're trying.
They're already there. Anyone else want to add what's their favorite Emirati dish, or what's kind of their favorite food?
Oh, my favorite food is.
Please.
Go ahead, ladies first.
I love haris so much. So it's basically grains, some sort of grain called haris, and just meat. So that's blended into this, and it's yummy. It's so good. It's really good.
Is it like a kuba or like
No. It sort of looks okay. It looks like baba ghanouj, but it's not.
Okay.
It looks like it, but it's not. And the meat used is basically beef, and no spices are added. Just probably a little bit of salt. That's it, because the meat overpowers the whole grain dish, and at the end we add a bit of Arabic oil or ghee. So
wow.
Yeah.
My God, I'm drooling, guys.
So much, dude. I had no dinner. I had like one slice of pizza over here. Now
Grab another one.
I might have to.
More.
But pizza can't compete with what you're talking about. And like pizza's my favorite food in the whole world, but that sounded amazing.
I went with May and Ahmed for fish at a traditional Emirati restaurant. What was the dish that you introduced me to with the fish on the rice? What was it called?
Majboos.
Yeah, delicious.
The brown rice, right?
Very, very delicate food, delicate seasoning.
That's Iraqi.
No, that's an Iraqi. I also went to an Iraqi restaurant. Had a whole.
You're thinking of masgoof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say is like I'm very crazy for seafood here in UAE.
Well, you're a fisherman originally.
Yeah, it's a side hobby, and it was a part-time job also at one point. And I'm a big fan of the seafood here because of how abundant it is, how easy it is to get it. Sometimes, even when we were kids, we would go catch some fish, take it home. Parents will be mad we spent all the day out, but they'll still enjoy the food. And there's so much seafood here. The fish, the variety is amazing. We couldn't have time, me and Dan, to go to the fish market in Dubai. Next time we do that.
Awesome. And is there something that like you miss the most when you travel abroad and you're thinking about like, okay, when I go back home, the first thing I'm going to have is this? Like, what is it for you?
For me, it's fish.
Okay.
It's the ocean. Our fish, like the ocean, how it's cooked, how we spice it. I am we grew up in I grew up in the East Coast, and it was our cuisine, unlike May's cuisine, because May is from a different part called Al Ain, which is more Bedouin. We are more influenced by trade, India and such, and the way we spice food is a little more exotic, I guess you can say. Not exotic, more festive.
It's more aggressive seasoning, which is there, like you taste it, and it's good. It's good. When you say aggressive seasoning, you don't even need to add salt. It is that good.
I'm picturing, like, when she says aggressive seasoning, I'm picturing like a really angry, like, paprika.
Yeah.
Ah,
Season the food.
I have a question. To be honest, I have a question to my family that took them to the seafood. Did you guys offer him jashit or no?
No, it's not kosher.
They learned the rules.
Really? Why isn't shark a kosher? Why isn't shark kosher?
Ahmed, May, do you guys want to take that one on? See if you remember why?
Because there are no scales. I don't remember.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
because they don't have a school.
Right. So
What?
I told them that I will eat fish in non-kosher restaurants, and the rules are that the fish has to have scales and fins, and a shark does not have
Doesn't have.
scales. And so Jamshid is sadly not a kosher fish, but I enjoyed it with. It's okay. I very much enjoyed the meal.
And Dan, I want to add for our listeners that soon we're going to have most of our hotels are going to offer kosher food.
That's right. And I can't wait to see your cookbook that's going to introduce the Emirati kitchen to the kosher restrictions and rules.
Thank you.
And make sure everyone buys a copy when it comes out, guys. Kosherati, right? That's what it's called?
Yes.
Amazing.
Awesome. Changing gears here a little bit. I think a lot of people, I mean, we all come to our lives with our own set of circumstances. And what we've heard here is that your circumstances are very similar to ours in many capacities. Something that I understood from Dan when you came back was that in terms of like standard of living or employment and things like this, or the cost of living in the UAE, it may be very different from what people here in Israel and definitely from what the United States are used to. I think there's kind of an image in the West that everybody in the Emiratis are very wealthy, and others might assume otherwise, that because it's an Arab country that maybe it's third world. I mean, there's people that have all kinds of opinions and things
Assumptions.
like that. Assumptions. Maybe if you could describe, not necessarily for you and your own particular reality, but like just for average Emiratis, how do people live? What is considered middle class, wealthy? If you could just like describe an average Emirati family, their income, their housing, what kind of services and benefits are provided by the government to help people or to take care of people?
Yeah, like basically what's the kind of
like how do you get by?
Yeah. Again, you don't have to answer for your own family. Just kind of give our audience a general idea of the average Emirati, life in that respect.
I can speak for my limited view, but again, I don't have kids, so maybe Thani would have a different view on how my life is. So, for me, I think you can say the social services here are most important ones would be free healthcare and tax-free income, and you get a very comfortable loan for a house and a free land. In some cases, if your income is limited, you get a free house, actually.
Can I get that too if I move over there?
Maybe you need to find an Emirati wife. Maybe.
If I wear this shirt, can I get that?
If your wife lets you live. And we're lucky here, to be honest with you, very, very lucky. We have a kind of what you call a social welfare system from birth to death, pretty much, to be honest with you. And this is very, how do you say it, unique to us because it's a small population. And so we are lucky to have good leaders who look at us as their family. they don't look at us as only people who are there governing, as if like what you imagine, like the typical image of a monarchy. If
Mhm.
I'm saying that correctly, if I'm expressing myself correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
so
that's my point of view.
I could tell you, you know, if you ask the average Israeli, I think a household brings in what, $40,000 a year. Like that's kind of an average middle class Israeli life, or
Sure, but plus or minus a little
plus or
bit.
minus. You know, rent can cost, you know, $1,500
I
a
think
month.
I think if I can put it like in average terms, the average Israeli salary, if I remember correctly, per month it's calculated was something around the lines of 10,000 shekels a month, which is roughly equivalent to
10,000
around,
dirham a month,
yeah, which is roughly equivalent for American listeners to around, let's say,
$2,500.
yeah, $2,500 a month is the average income per person. You know, if you have a household of two people, you know, multiply that by two is average. But the cost of living here is very, 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 very expensive in many different ways. The cost of housing is almost prohibitively expensive, and there is no government assistance if you don't have the means to get a house. There's, you know, you're not going to get a house.
So what's like the Emirati equivalent of that? Again, not you specifically, but like what is
Like
an
the national average.
national average salary in the UAE? What does rent cost if you're renting an apartment in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or whatever?
If I jump in here, of course, now because of COVID, the rent is taking a beating. But for locals, because of our leaders, where we have as Ahmed said, you know, they help us with the housing, education is free. If we go to public school, all the medical costs are free. I believe somebody asked in the chat if it's an insurance, it's a government-based insurance. We have public hospitals, plus we have private ones.
Sorry,
And
health
just
insurance,
to add,
health insurance, medical coverage,
health insurance, yes, everything is covered. And
Okay,
if
just-
and just to add, if need be, they can send you to Germany or to somewhere in Europe if we don't have that expertise in the country. And now, just to add, and I'm not gloating, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have taxes. We don't have taxes. All of this without taxing us a single. They just 2 years ago introduced the VAT, 5% on whatever we buy, but no income tax, no government tax, nothing.
Now, what we're describing right now is this for just to clarify, the UAE has roughly 9 million residents, and only around 1 million are actual Emirati citizens. So what we're talking about right now, this is about Emirati citizens and not
Yes,
all of the residents, including
yes.
health coverage. Are all the residents also, they take care of
when
themselves?
it comes to the residents, it's by law. I mean, for example, I'm running a company.
Sure.
By law, I need to buy them medical insurance. I cannot give them a visa or an employment contract. I cannot give them an employment contract if I don't pay for a medical insurance for them by law. So it's part of my cost as an employer. And of course, I have to give them a salary to afford the housing. Now, housing can be as cheap, of course, if you go to a very basic intern white collar, as cheap as 20,000 or 25,000 dirhams to infinity, depending on where you want to go. I mean, if you want to go to a small studio, it is nowadays around between 18 and 22,000 dirhams, which
So
I think, Dan, you can do I think it's the same as the shekel. There is not much
Yeah, it
of a
must be around like
difference.
3.4, 3.5 dirham to the dollar.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
It's about
And yes, so that is part of, I will have to pay him a salary that will cover a housing. No, I don't need to give him a 3-bedroom or a 1-bedroom. I need to give him a housing. And of course, for the non-Emiratis and for the Emiratis that don't want to go to public school, we have to go to private school. Now, unfortunately, private school here is very expensive. I'm very happy that one of my kids He finished high school, he graduated, so I have only two now to pay for, two to pay for. So education is expensive here. Private education is expensive, even comparing to Europe. It's more expensive.
Nathani, your son also just finished his military service. I was surprised to know that Emiratis have a compulsory military national service, just like in Israel. Can you just share a few words about that, and we'll jump to Nora?
It's just started 6-7 years ago. So I did not need to go when I graduated high school, 93. I did not need to go to the army. I went to Fort Worth. I mean, I went to Fort Worth right after high school. So again, it was a culture shock coming from Dubai. Those days, Dubai of 93, going to Fort Worth. While I have to say the Bedouin way of life and the cowboy way of life is not very different, but my son just finished his first stage. You have 3 stages when it comes to the military service. One is called the basic, then the specialization, then it's actually what they call is work placement, and work placement is based on the specialization. For example, my son was assigned to the specialization of artillery. So after he finishes his artillery training, he will be assigned to an artillery unit. But there is also a law, if you get above 90 in your high school, you have the right to defer stage 2 and 3. You still have to do stage 1.
Okay.
And you can defer stage 2 and 3. So when Dan came to Dubai, my son had just finished his stage 1, and we deferred his stage 2 and 3 because thanks God he got the brains of his mom, and he got a very high percentage in high school. So we deferred the 2nd and 3rd stage. So hopefully next year he'll be in uni.
And he's going to Stanford, is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Unbelievable.
And,
we wish him.
And you know what is? And I told you what is exciting him more, that Emmett Smith's son is there.
That's right.
If I may add something about you talking about the average salaries, the housing, the healthcare, and all these stuff.
Yeah.
It's really important that you guys know. It really depends what kind of the citizens and the expats have it way different. And unfortunately, we still have a lot of work to do for labor and everything, but it's going in the right direction in that matter. And we also depends what kind of job, like what kind of position. Some people, foreigners, expats, would have much better healthcare, much better schools, housing allowance, such and such. All depends, you know. It's a very capitalist system, and infused with a lot of socialist programs, but it's in the right direction.
Nora, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, there is a misconception about locals, is that we have money trees or oil money. No, that's not the case whatsoever. In my house, up until my great grandpa, I think, all of those people used to work either in trading, okay, whether be it I don't know, trading spices, traveling to bring in students, let's say healthcare, whatever it is. We work really hard. We work really, really hard. And in each household, there has to be, well, not has to, but we're striving to have businesses of our own. Okay, because one salary or a job salary is not enough. You need to have another income. You always need to have another income. So what people see, let's say the fancy houses, fancy cars, the travels, the vacays, whatever it is, we really work really hard to have that. And sometimes we barely sleep the night because we need to deal with other stuff. And we really don't have it easy here. Like, we work really hard. My mom still works. My dad he's a retired police officer, but he has his business on the side, which I need to manage because I have to. He's my dad, but I need to work on my business too. Plus, I have a 9 to 5 job.
Wow.
So, no, we don't have money trees, and it's not Arab money, oil money, whatever. No, we work really hard.
I can say from the 8 days I spent in talking to a lot of people, I saw very ambitious people, very hardworking people, and people, yeah, trying. I mean, they live well, but they're really trying to earn a living, and they're constantly trying to innovate, and kind of that drive. A lot of times, the people associate with Israel, or so I was very impressed and by that. So kind of a different question. Want to take the four of you are dressed in what we might call traditional Emirati clothing. We have the kandura for men and the abaya and the shela for women. A lot of people saw the pictures that I posted online. They said, "Oh, are they religious? Is this Can you just talk a little bit about what the clothing means? When you wear it, does it mean is it a religious statement? Is it a cultural statement? How does that fit in to kind of saying about who you are when you're wearing the traditional clothes, and maybe explain more about the traditional clothes? Who wants to jump in?
I feel like Thani wants to jump in.
I've talked the most, so I think I will give chance to May, and then for this question, I'll be the last one to answer, please.
So basically, this is called the shayla, and this is a abaya. It doesn't really have to be black. It can be whatever color you want. It could be a religious thing to cover your hair, as in Judaism, you have your married women cover their hair in some sort of way. So we do that. Or you get to wear it however you want. Like May is wearing, I'm wearing it in a different way. Okay. I decided for myself to cover my hair and to be known as this person on social media or at work. But to me, it's not a religious thing. It's more of a cultural thing. I want to represent my culture in the most modest way possible. But yeah, even oh, by the way, historically, the abaya and the shayla was not black whatsoever. The black colors came from Iraq. In the Gulf region, it was more of a colorful kind of thing. And yeah, it shouldn't just be religious. It's more of a cultural dressing, if you will.
I will speak about the men's wear, if
Please.
I may. I am not a historian, so please feel free to correct me, Thani, anytime. I think it was made out of necessity. The color, the design, it allows more air and it's cooler in the heat, and it has no religious significance at all. And the headgear is basically how formal you are. For example, Thani now is more formal than me.
Yes.
I am more smart casual, more business casual, I guess. Thani is wearing a tie now. I'm not. I'm wearing a collared suit, but colored shirt, but not wearing a tie. So if I have this off, I'm very relaxed, very casual, and I'm like, I would not come to such beautiful podcast, respectable podcast without my headgear on.
So you're saying, yeah, and I saw men wearing the kandura without any head covering.
Mhm.
Then you saw them wearing it with kind of like what Ahmed is wearing without the agal, right? Is what it's
Mhm.
called.
Yes.
And then Thani is wearing like the equivalent of like a business suit, right? It's more formal once you have that on. Is there an even more formal version of this?
I don't think you can go any formal.
Yes,
No, there
yeah.
is. There is the
There
bisht.
is?
If I put a bisht,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the
so-
bisht. Which, to be honest, the last time I wore it was.
Your what?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for
Wedding?
saving me. I wanted to put the date of the wedding. Now I know my wife is online. Now she will say I forgot the date. So
You can
I
change
know.
the subject.
No, but I think May didn't answer, so we'll give her a chance before I put my 2 cents to it.
You guys covered everything. I just want to add that for the woman Shayla and Abaya, it can go from $27 to
Infinity.
$5,000,
Whoa.
and there are some Italian and French designers who made abayas in their collection.
Wow. Do people also wear Western clothes?
Yes, under the abaya, you can wear anything, as long as it's modest.
I mean, just to add, if we go back to history, go back in history, the Bedouins were wearing more of what Ahmed is wearing at the moment. Or at least they had a very thin type of rope type of agal. This big agal actually came from Iraq also, and especially from Basra later. But if you go to the old pictures and you speak to okay, now they will be very old, but for example, I remember my grandfather, and my grandfather, he used to wear the ghitra, and the agal was more or less like a rope, more or less. And but then it changed to a more stylish agal, thicker, bigger, but not as big. I believe Dan, I believe your family is from Iraq. They might remember the agal being thicker in Iraq. It's not as thick as the one in Iraq, but it is thick enough. And yes, this is considered the formal. And what is more formal is, I would say, like a min abaya. Just to explain it to you, what we call a bisht, it's usually expensive because there is a lot of gold and silver, the threads on it. And yes, the last time I wore it was 2001 in June.
He remembered.
In June. No, in June 7. I know she's online.
I think Latifa is going to get some nice flowers and chocolates soon.
I have a fun fact about the agal that Thani is wearing. That's the black rope that's tied around the ghitra. Originally, Bedouins used to tie the camel's feet at night when they're traveling, so they don't go away.
With that.
And yes, and this thing historically, again, so why is it white? Because the heat. Thank God, Dan, you haven't seen August's heat, nor July, nor June. Okay, you haven't experienced this. You don't want to. So, back then they needed to put keep the ghitra down using the agal. Okay, so that's sort of like a weight to put it down, because sometimes it could get windy. Plus, with the end of the ghitra, they would do this sometimes. So they would cover up because it would get windy and sandy. So that's a way to protect themselves. So historically,
that is a fun fact. This is to save our face from being sandblasted, because a lot of time if the wind is coming from the desert, so you can imagine in August when the temperature is 50 and it's windy, so you can imagine the sand actually sandblasts your face. So this was to protect your face. It was, and I'm sure this is not from the Alibaba stories that that you read as children. No, this is not the 40 Thieves version. This was to save our face.
Although we all have to wear face masks now.
It's true.
Yes.
Quick comment on that.
Yeah.
There is another attire for older women. It's something that goes down. I don't know, Dan, if you've seen it. Like it covers the eyebrows and then goes down the nose and covers the mouth.
I saw it
It's
in
called-
pictures.
You've seen it?
In pictures.
Okay, so that's called a burqa. So if you see, but mainly older women wear it. Not so much anymore though. So yeah.
You see that sometimes in Israel with like very, very religious Muslim women.
With the
I've seen-
Bedouin, you see it with the
or Bedouin,
women.
right.
We have
They'll
Bedouin
have
here in southern.
a burqa.
Quick question for
I'm
Gil.
putting a
who's,
picture if you can see.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. You can actually, if you want to link it and put it in the chat so people can look at
Yeah,
it. You can
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Gil, can we keep going?
Yeah, I think somebody
know
else did already. Somebody else did.
Yeah,
Mohammed.
Mohammed.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Mohammed.
Gil, what do you say? Can we keep going if people want to stay on? We're having fun. We hope our guests are having fun. So if people want to stay and keep listening, you are welcome to. And of course, as this is a podcast, this will be available for download later on, and you're welcome to.
And this
catch
is
up.
a good time to remind our audience and our listeners, please do subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
YouTube,
or wherever you get your podcasts.
and follow us on Facebook and Twitter
Yes.
so you can get all the updates.
Follow Thani on Twitter. Follow Thani on Twitter.
That's
Follow
right.
Julie on Twitter. You guys need to have a bigger audience. Please, please, please start blasting your accounts everywhere. Please. That is so
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome.
Thank you. So we want to jump into kind of maybe some more
Meaty questions.
meaty questions. And my dog here is whining.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
So one thing I was very, I one of my day jobs is I'm a researcher of the Middle East. I'm a researcher of Israel, of religious identities, things like that. And I was very surprised. Maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was surprised. I found sort of a very modernized and moderate version of Islam. So everything that hold on a second. I'll keep going. He's going to quiet the dog. The dog wants to get into the conversation too. So everything that we've come to know about Islam over the past decades, from turmoil in the region, religious extremism, whether from Sunni or from Shia, 9/11, the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia, the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, ISIS or Daesh. Okay, that's kind of what the rest of the world instantly generally tends to think of as Islam. And I found a very, very modernized, very moderate, very thoughtful, very, let's call it accepting version of Islam among the many people I met in the UAE. I would even kind of compare, I don't know if you have the language for this yet, but in Judaism, we'll call it something along the lines of maybe a Reform conservative or a modern Orthodox Judaism, where the religion has managed to find a way to blend with modernity, and it doesn't feel threatened by modernity. And that's kind of what my initial intake was from conversations with all four of you and from just looking at society around you. So I don't know if any of you want to reflect about kind of your take on your own Muslim identities, your engagement with Islam, and also kind of has it evolved? Are we seeing like an Islam 2.0 where it's self-confident to the point where it can accept kind of this kind of moderate version? Are there secular Emiratis who don't connect to religion at all? Can you do this in the UAE? I don't know if anyone wants to jump in and take on any of these questions.
If I may start, for me, I don't think it's a modernized version of Islam. I think it's the Islam. I think it was hijacked by these extremists, and unfortunately, they took advantage of vacuum of powers, even being hosted by European countries as dissidents like Khomeini. And now, unfortunately, you see Europe is the most reaping this problem of extremists in their own communities. We in UAE, we treat them as extremists. We tell it the way it is. We blacklist them. Then they call them dissidents. Even Osama bin Laden was called dissident. It's amazing. For us, we're doing our part. I think Europe needs to step up. The US needs to step up. And these people are hijacking what we think is the real Islam. To me, when you came here, I think you met real Muslims. I don't think you met modernized Muslims. I think you will find the same here in Saudi Arabia, in what is it called? Kuwait, Bahrain. There's a lot of us, even in Levant area, everywhere.
See,
That's my humble view about the thing. I correct me if I'm wrong, anyone.
No, I'm not gonna correct you. I'm going to agree with you 110%, because when the whole extremism thing happened, it is sad to say that a lot of us and the new generation started to steer away from saying from saying we're Muslims, or from praying our 5 prayers. It's because of the extremists. A lot of, like, me wearing this traveling scares me.
Yep.
It scares me, and it doesn't just scare, it terrifies me. And I remember telling you a story when I was in Manchester with my grandma, and my grandma was what, like probably 70 years old, 69, 70 years old, and she had her hijab on, and some youthful English guy pulled her shayla or hijab and called her a terrorist. And she's an old lady. What is she gonna do? Read you to bed? You know what I mean? Like, she's just there. She's with me. So covering my hair terrifies me. So I don't wear the hijab when I travel. I either wear a beanie, okay, like a hat, or I just let my hair out, because of what the extremists have done to us. Like, I'm sure that my Jewish friends here have experienced this, wearing the kippah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same. People are taunting the image of Islam, Judaism, Christianity by being very extremists. Like, and that's not how. If you want to be approachable, if you want to be accepted, you need to meet at a middle ground, and this is not it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May anyone else, Danny, you guys want to chime in on that?
You want to start? May, you want to start before?
Go ahead.
Actually, thank you, May. Actually, I totally agree with Ahmed. The Islam is to, I mean, even as the word Islam means peace. And it's for us to live in peace and for the others to live in peace. Unfortunately, again, now my history bit will kick in. All through history and all religions, not only Islam, all religions, even the non-Abrahamic religion, was and is, and unfortunately will be used to buy loyalty and to buy support. There are a lot of ignorant people or ill-read or ill-informed or ill-educated people that are emotional, and a small group of people use that to get power. Now they preach Islam to them, they preach religion to them, they preach the version of Islam that can attract them, and then slowly they turn them into fanatics. I can tell you, being an Emirati, in the UAE, nobody tried to convert me to fundamentalist Islam. When I was in Boston, I was approached many times trying to see, but what helped me that I was well read and I was answering them back. So they couldn't convince me, but I saw guys in front of me that were ill-educated, not well read, and they 180 degrees turned from being drunk every weekend, to suddenly going to university in the cold weather in January and February. And you guys know, man, I believe Dan, your father, was just wrote in the chat how cold is where he is now. Can you imagine in a Condora in Boston in January, wearing a Condora, going to university, his beard reaches his belly button. Okay, and then in the middle of the class, he gets up and starts preaching people. Okay, yes, exactly. I mean, imagine you seeing that scene. Imagine. So we have seen that, and unfortunately, I know some of the listeners might be upset. This is when freedom of speech is misused. When people use the freedom of speech as a tool to preach the wrong message. Now, unfortunately, here they don't dare. I wouldn't say it's controlled or not controlled, no, because if somebody will talk the wrong side of history or the wrong side of Islam, no, we will stop that. And that is not only for Sunnis, for Shias, for everybody. We want moderate Islam. If somebody speaks or talks a fanatic version, then of course, politely, first time, they'll knock his door, give him a call, and tell him, calm down. And if he doesn't, and if he's local, he might be questioned or prosecuted. And if he's not local, he might be asked to leave the country, because we don't entertain this type of Islam. Islam is a peaceful religion. I have studied Islam 12 years in school. I was in a public school, so Islam was a major subject for me. And the teachers that I had were quite well scholars. And I was taught a moderate Islam. I was taught that the religion is a connection between you and God. And it has nothing to do with the one next to you. Now, even in the way I believe in God, in Islam, we have Salafism, we have Sufism. Now, even these have been hijacked. The Salafism has been hijacked, the Sufism has been hijacked, the Shiaism has been hijacked. I mean, the Shia, that if you go and read the Shia book 60 years ago and read the Khomeini version of Shia, it's not the same. If you go and see the Salafi version, there is a new group of Salafis that they call themselves Al-Asraniyun. Al-Asraniyun means the modern Salafis, okay, where they speak that it's a bit like the Protestant. If you remember on dinner, we explained it to you. It's your connection to God. Yeah. Okay, it's your connection to God, your personal connection to God. Your brother, if he doesn't believe, so what? If your brother is a Sufi or a Shia, so what? So what? And to answer another question, is there secular Muslims? Yes, definitely we have secular Muslims. We have Muslims that have not studied religion at all. They are Muslims by name. Here we do, but if you go to Europe, I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. If you go to Europe, they know nothing about Islam. They just know from their parents that they are Muslims. They might go to Sunday school to learn from a person that was kicked out of the Arab countries. So can you imagine what version of Islam will that person learn? The incident, I will end this story with the incident that happened in France. The person who killed the teacher because he showed the picture of the Prophet. Now, if I was there, and I would like to debate, if I was there in front of the guy before he stabbed that teacher, and I would tell him, if you want to follow the Prophet himself, his cousin, the Prophet's cousin was not a Muslim, and he was, at those days, it was very famous to attack people by poetry. It was very famous. So his cousin attacked the Prophet with very bad, rude, dirty poetry, attacking the Prophet. The Prophet did not ask anybody to take his revenge. The Prophet did not ask anybody to go and kill him. The Prophet did not ask anybody to go and even talk to him to stop it. No, the Prophet said, leave him. Until one day, one of the Muslims said, at least can I reply? Can I reply? And he said, yes, you can, but without attacking him. So that guy replied, praising the Prophet. In this lesson, what do we learn? That we need to talk to the other person. We need to talk to the teacher. Yes. Does he have the right to show the picture of the Prophet? I would say yes, but he will hurt me. Let me tell him, why will that hurt me? Why will it hurt 1.3 billion people in the world? Why? Then if he still wants to do it, then it is his prerogative. It is his decision. But then he knows what he's doing. He's not ill-informed. So why? I mean, I would have talked to that person before he stabbed, because this is what the Prophet taught us. Thank you.
Thank you, Thani.
Thank you. So Dan came back and like just went on and on and on about how much of an extremely tolerant society towards other cultures and religions there is in the UAE, and we can definitely see that and hear that in your stories and hear that and just understand that from the very fact that you're here with us today. It's not lip service, you know. So from your perspectives, it's real. It's nothing that's.
How did you get there?
You know, how did you get there? And I think to bring it to this group, you know, there are Israelis and Jews who are and have been worried about, you know, what it might be like to travel to an Arab country in our region. You know, we've had a cold peace with Egypt and Jordan for many years now, and most people in Israel don't travel to those countries. I work in tourism, so many of my colleagues have as well, but most Israelis don't. Should Israelis be worried to travel to the UAE? You know, what type of a welcome might they experience? Could Jews go to the UAE and feel comfortable wearing, you know, a kippah on their head if they're religious? You know, what's going on?
If I may answer quickly, I think the answer is you should not be worried one bit. First of all, this country takes great pride in being one of the safest in the world, if not the safest. And number two, really nobody cares where you're from. We don't care. We have 200 nationalities here, like they said. People from every walk of life and race and religion. You'll be just another guy in the street. Maybe it will be new to us at first with your kippah or something, if you identify with your attire. And maybe this will work in your advantage, like Dan saw himself. We got a VIP table at the pool.
Is that
because
kind of
they found out he's from Israel.
There's like a novelty about it. Like, you know, let me bring my friend from Israel, and people are like, whoa, like that's something we haven't seen. Is it there's an excitement about it amongst Emiratis?
Emiratis and non-Emiratis who reside in UAE. The guy who gave us the table was from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this only happens in UAE, where you see African, Emirati, Jew, Indian, everyone at one table. Just like, it's amazing. Nobody cares.
You're talking about like a country that is basically a mini version of the world. You have everyone living here. So you guys are 100% safe. You can wear your kippah wherever you want. I am sorry that we don't have many kosher restaurants. Sorry. We're getting there. But you are more than welcome, and you shouldn't be afraid or worried. I had one of my friends, Charlie, who came from Israel, and he was wearing his kippah, meeting my dad in his art gallery. So that was pretty insane. That's so nice. That's so nice. He was kind of afraid. No, not afraid. Maybe worried by wearing that. I told him, yo, chill. You can wear that.
I want to add something. So Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, ordered the construction of a building dedicated to interfaith harmony. And that facility is called the Abrahamic Family House. It's going to be located on Saadiyat Island, which is in Abu Dhabi, the capital city, right next to the Louvre Museum. And what's interesting is that the Abrahamic Family House will have a mosque that's oriented, towards Mecca, and a synagogue that will face Jerusalem, and a church that will point east towards the sun. And so each building will have its individual entrance, but in the middle, there's going to be, a big garden that connects all three. I think should be ready by 2022, 2023.
That's amazing.
So,
and
so we're
actually,
going to have a synagogue, a church, and a mosque next to each other.
that's unbelievable. And actually, one of our communities that's participating right now is the Omaha community, where my wife is from, and where my in-laws, the Taxmans, are now listening. I saw them on the chat. And actually, I looked this up for a research project a few years ago. So this new project in Abu Dhabi, which is being constructed, until then, the only church, synagogue, mosque in the world that I'm aware of, and then I looked this up, exists in Omaha, Nebraska.
You mean like in one structure?
One structure where they share a community room, and then each religion has its own prayer space.
Interesting.
So this will be the second. As far as I'm aware, I looked into this a couple of years ago, and that's incredible. So let's jump. We talked about safety. We talked about
just before we talk about that. I just wanted to add it with a bit of drama, if you allow me.
We love drama.
The thing is, I can't copy Martin Luther King, but I will say I have a dream that one day a little Israeli boy will be holding hands with an Arab boy walking out of the Abrahamic family. The Islamic, the Muslim boy is walking out of the mosque, and the Israeli or the Jewish is walking out of the synagogue, and they hold hands and they break bread with each other. Everything starts with a dream. And I think thanks to our leaders, they are making this dream come true.
Amazing. That's beautiful. So we wanted to include some of our guests on this call. So we have, let's see if we can get her up on the line, Efrat Cerebro, that's a hard name to say, who wanted to ask a question to our panelists.
So, مساء الخير وأهلا بكم. اسمي إفراد سريبرو وأنا من أكا عاصمة الجليل الغربي. I am the co-chair of the partnership, and I would like to hear your information about the women's status and how they are involved in your community.
So we'll obviously direct this at our women guests first, and then afterwards, Ahmed will share a cool little story with us. May, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I just want to, there is a very famous quote by our founding father, Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. And he says, the woman is half of the society. Any country which pursues development should not leave her in poverty or illiteracy. I am on the women's side. And so women have been supported by our leaders, since a very long time. Emirati women make up around 70% of all university graduates, so that's a lot.
It's more than here.
And then and women are so I think in the government they're around 50%.
We have youngest the youngest female, female minister of youth. Her name is Shemma Al-Mazrou'i, and we have women part of the parliament. So, and we have a whole association for women's and children's rights. So being a woman in this country, yes, we have all of the support from our leaders, government, and from our family. It's different. It feels like we have a say in things, and we actually do have a say in a lot of things. Now you can see women who are in upper management. You can see women as CEOs. You can see women as VPs. You can see women as entrepreneurs. So we are blessed to be a part of this country. We have all of our rights.
And by the way, the UAE is the first country in the region that requires every government organization and every company to have female board members.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I was actually blown away. Like I said, I travel with a tourist hat, but I also travel with kind of like my researcher hat. And the first thing I saw coming from the airport, I believe down Sheikh Zayed Road, there's a giant billboard for cars.
Like a car dealership?
A car brand.
Okay.
I forget which one it was. And you see 3 giant pictures of people driving different models of this car. And I think this says a lot about a society, and I'll juxtapose that with kind of the issues that we often talk about here in the Israeli context, in the ultra-Orthodox society here, where there's been kind of a trend of erasing women from billboards and from advertisements and things like that. And what did I see? I saw picture number 1 is a family driving in a car, the man's driving. Picture number 2, 3 women driving in the car, including one dressed traditionally and the other 2 dressed more in a secular Western fashion. And picture number 3, a family driving a car with the woman driving. And I think that was just kind of one of the first things that hit me as I was coming into Dubai. I said, okay, this says to me something about where they're trying to go, what they're aspiring to, and kind of advertising. The advertising is often always tied with kind of where society is and where it's trying to go at the same time. I thought that was really interesting. Ahmed, actually, you have a very cool story in your family, and if you want to share it.
Yeah, a little background. My family, I have a big family. I have 6 sisters and 2 brothers. So I've always been, as you may say, in touch with my feminine side.
Don't say that out loud, Ahmed. Huh?
I have to. I have to be.
It's there.
I am a feminist not by choice, but by the environment I grew up around. Anything I see a woman go through, I think about my sisters. Anything like when it comes to women, I think about them. So it's always been very important for me.
And who is your sister?
I'm sure what Dan is referring to is the highlight of my family is my sisters. 2 of them are pilots.
Oh,
One flies for Etihad, and the other one flies for the Army F-16s. And it's funny because every time when I was in the US, people would judge where I'm from and would say, "Hey, you guys treat women bad." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, come here, look at this." And I would show them my sister on CNN flying F-16s. And it would be a complete shock, and they would feel embarrassed and bad. That's not my goal, but my goal was like, hey, don't judge. So yeah, and my sisters also, beside these 2 pilots, most of them exceeded me in life, because the government here not only support them, but they actually give them a better start than men, which I am very happy about, as they actually deserve it. I don't see it's good for society, it's good for me, it's good for my family, it's good for them. So why not? There's enough cake for all of us to eat.
No, I mean, just to say, I think everybody knows the saying that behind every great man there is a great lady. Even if you see Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed from Abu Dhabi, his mother Sheikha Fatma is known as a visionary mother. Even Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, his mother Sheikha Latifa bint Hamdan, also has been visionary, and his grandmother, Hissa bint al-Mur, all of them have been visionary in helping their either their husbands, their children to reach where they are. So the women have from the past played a key role in our society. Even if in the front you see us men, but we couldn't have done it without the women in the society.
Wow. And kind of a couple of the questions that some of I know people have asked me a lot personally, and some of the some people submitted questions. But if you just want to explain or kind of to our guests, is it safe for women to let's say walk around at night by yourselves? I mean, what's that kind of sense? Maybe we'll let our ladies answer that question.
And you can walk around on your own 3 a.m. with no man around you. Go for a jog late night, and you'll always be safe. No one would ever hurt you. No one would ever mug you or annoy you. It's when Thani and Ahmed said we take pride in being the safest and calling ourselves the safest country. Yes, this is how safe we are. I've read Asher. Asher is a man, okay, and he said that he felt safer being in Dubai, in the UAE, wearing his kippah in 1 o'clock in the morning, than being in Europe or I don't know, in the States probably. So this is how safe it is, not just for women but for men too, and for other religions and nationalities and backgrounds. So yes, I mean, for now I could go out and just walk around and I'd be totally safe.
Terrific.
I was gonna answer that question myself for people, but I'm a 230-pound dude, so I usually don't go around in places.
But I have a short story to add. One of my customers, he's British, and I asked him. I mean, he decided to live here, so he kept on. Even when his company let him go, he didn't go back to the UK, and he tried to find a job here. And I told him, what will you do if you don't find a job? He said, no, I'll stay here to find a job. And I asked him why. He said, my daughter is 15. If she was in the UK and she was at a friend's house at around 10 p.m., and I need her to come home, I will either go myself to pick her up, or I will speak to the friends, the family, and see if my daughter can have a sleepover, and I'll come and pick her up in the morning. But here, even at 1 a.m., I will not be scared to tell her, jump in a taxi and come home. For a 15-year-old girl, I'll not be scared. She can Uber, or she can just jump into a normal taxi and come home. That is why I don't want to go back to the UK.
Interesting. Anyone else want to add something before we jump on to the last kind of set of questions? Go for it.
No,
No, to the next set of questions.
Oh, the next set of questions. Sorry. I would say we're moving on to Final Jeopardy, but I think it's too soon.
Too soon.
Don't say that word. Don't say that word. You know what happened to...
We know.
I know.
We're very sad.
Don't say that word.
It's been a rough week for some of our favorite celebrities.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe like to bring up like maybe the most important thing that's connecting both of us at this time. I mean, we're living in a time where, we've all expressed how this Abraham Accords, it was both very surprising, the timing of it, and also something that I think on both of our sides we could see coming and happening. The four of you are here because you're involved in the U.A.E. Israel Forum. And Thani, you sit on the U.A.E. Israel Business Council together with Dan. So obviously you all have connections with Israel and Jews and Israelis. Man, Noah, you're actively learning Hebrew, which is no easy task, and I think a lot of our Jewish friends in the U.S. that are on this call can agree with that. Thani, you're very well versed in history and in politics. Ahmed, you're very keen to learn about Israel and Judaism. I think what we'd like to do now is kind of talk about what happened in terms of the normalization from your own personal perspectives. first of all, what did you know about or think about Israel and Jews growing up? What did you learn about, or was it at all discussed in school? How was Israel portrayed in the news before this? And then, after this happened, how did your views evolve over time? Did they evolve over time, or did you always have open feelings about this?
And maybe before we jump into that, we have another one of our audience members, Miriam Marcus from the Northwest Indiana Federation, who wanted to add a question connected to this set of questions. Miriam?
Yes, hi. Really enjoying this discussion. So my question relates to maybe what past misconceptions you all might have had about Israel or Israelis. What was the most outlandish thing you had heard about Israel or Israelis that you now know is not true?
That's a great question, and maybe we'll add Jews into that mix. So maybe the craziest thing you heard about Israelis, Israel, or Jews that now you know is not true, and
Not
all of
approachable.
the kind of questions we asked.
Not approachable. What? Who's not approachable? You guys? What? I have more friends. I have more Israeli friends, Jewish friends, combined than UAE nationals. Like, guys, this is real. This is real. So for me, I never had Israeli friends. I never had Jewish friends. So when the normalization happened, my father said, "Hey, go watch it." I'm like, "Why? I know it happened. I mean, it happened back in August. So why am I supposed to see the signing?" He's like, "No, go see it. Take a picture of it. Take some videos, because when it happened with Egypt, I was not there to take pictures and to witness it." So I sat there and I was just watching it. But before the actual signing happened, I already had been talking to Israeli people and to Jewish people. And right now we are literally a pack of wolves. We have each other's backs. We are a family, and we are working. We're working with Israel is the youth organization, and I can happily and proudly say that these guys are my family. And when I got sick, they were the first ones to jump on and to call me and to text me and to ask if I needed anything. Guys, you guys are in Israel. What would I need? I would
We're
need
gonna
some.
mail you chicken soup.
I would need some bamba soup. but it's I've taken it with an open heart and in open arms. I really I'm really happy, and my heart feels warm every time I talk to my Israeli and Jewish friends, and I'm learning a lot. I'm learning about the religion, the culture, and like it feels easy. It feels easy talking to Israelis, and it feels easy talking to Jewish people. When I was younger, I had no connection whatsoever. I didn't know anything about Judaism. Now I do, and I can happily say that I respect all religions, because I didn't have the last piece of the puzzle, which came like 3 months ago. So I can proudly say that the puzzle is complete. And you guys, I'm happy.
We are too. May, you care to jump in?
Sure. So I've had Israeli friends way before, and it's funny because whenever we travel, as you know, with my family, and we always, find the table next to us with a family that's very similar, and then we end up talking, and they end up to be Israelis. It's funny how we have a lot of similarities. So I've been listening to Afra Hazza, Boaz Sharabi since I was a teenager.
Classic.
I mean, now I listen to Omar Adam, Itai Levi, Al Golan. I also watch a lot of Israeli TV shows like Fauda, and my favorite is Shtiso.
Wow.
And so I've been not only learning the language, I've also been learning, I've been reading Parshas, and I've been researching on the traditions and the culture. And I've been doing this for a year now.
Unbelievable.
So it's I'm very passionate about it, and with the signing of the Abrahamic Accords, I took a photo of me sitting in the living room watching it on TV, and send it to my Israeli friends. And so they were in Israel sitting in their living room watching it live, and they took a photo too. So it was beautiful. It's like a family reunion.
Amazing. And when did you start learning Hebrew?
September 2019.
Wow.
With an Ulpan.
With an Ulpan.
Yes.
That's an intensive Hebrew program for those who are not familiar. Unbelievable. And so you've had a lot of experience meeting Jews, meeting Israelis.
Mm-hmm.
So was there anything that surprised you kind of in this renewed period when with the normalization or up to the normalization, because you actually were into this before?
Yes. What surprised me is I thought that we always had normalization with Israelis, because we've always we've been doing business with Israelis. So I just found out a year ago when I invited my Israeli friends to come to Abu Dhabi, and they told me that you can't come, and there's it's a bit complicated. And I told them, no, I don't know anything about that. You guys are more than welcome to come. You are family, and we'll be so happy to host you. And yeah, so the signing happened, and now we have this lovely reunion with the Israelis, and we're very happy about it.
Amazing. Thani,
I mean,
Ahmed?
just to answer the most outlandish thing we thought. Okay, I mean, it's funny that the lowest IQ in Israel will be like around 200.
It's true. It's me.
It is.
I mean, to be honest, this was like everybody's smart. You're committed. Okay, from childhood, everybody's smart. So this is why you're successful. This was the most outlandish, but it's like everybody else. Everybody has educated people and ill-educated, red, smart. I mean, we're all humans at the end of the day. 10 fingers, 10 toes, as we say. We're all the same. So I hope I answered your question.
How did you grow
Mariam,
up?
but this is not your question, Dan. So
Yes.
I think I'll leave Ahmed to say what is the most outlandish thing.
But also, if you don't mind, Thani, how did you grow up learning about Israel or about Jews before you were to meet Israelis or Jews? What did you see on the news? What did you learn in school?
Okay. I think I explained that I was in a public school. And I'm not very proud to say that my education was very anti-Semitic education. We had a Shakespeare novel translated into Arabic. So, and I think I told you, take a wild guess which one was translated into Arabic. It was The Merchant of Venice.
Yeah.
Merchant of Venice, and stressing on Shylock. I had friends from my childhood that were Palestinians, what we call from Palestine 48, or from Dafa, from the West Bank, or from Gaza. I had teachers from Palestine. So the stories that we heard or that we were taught, either, three options: true, not true, or exaggerated. I think I heard all of them, regardless. The country, they were in state of war. We like it or not. In a state of war, people die. This is why we shouldn't fight at the end of the day. So my education was a very anti-Semitic education. But what I was lucky that I had a family that always taught me not to listen to one side and to hear every single side and take my own decision. And my love of history, I think I told you that my love of history started from a very young age. And according to my mother, my favorite movie as a kid was 10 Commandments. Okay, and my favorite part was when Pharaoh's mother was holding baby Moses and was saying, "Moses, Moses," when they found when she took him from the river, that movie, of course, it was very similar to what we have in the Quran, not exactly. So that was the beginning where I was trying to read more than one version. So, and reading a lot of history, I tend to reach this conclusion: you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. We believe whatever we are told, but at the end, we need to take our own decision what to believe. And history and facts is like a crystal. If you move a millimeter to the right or a millimeter to the left, the reflection will be different and the crystal will look different. So that is what made me read about Israel and about Judaism and made me change. And I went through the journey of changing from an anti-Semitic education to a person that wants to normalize, a person that would love to, my dream, I have two dreams. One of them was this normalization. The second dream is for the UAE to moderate a peace between, or a peace in Israel with the Palestinian and the Arabs. As I told you, one country, two countries, three countries, it's not for me to say. I don't live there. It's for the people that live there to decide. But stop fighting. Stop fighting. The Palestinians need to learn to live and accept the status. Not to accept the status quo that the leaders are telling them, but to accept Israel and live in peace.
Interesting.
Sorry, I take long. And as I said,
Okay,
if you just
I want to add something. By the way, Emiratis travel a lot, and ever since childhood, and almost 99% of Emiratis travel. And when we travel, we go to museums, we go to memorial sites, we go to we visit cathedrals, we visit synagogues. So we have a general knowledge, I guess, of all of that, and I think it's very important.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Yeah, for me, the biggest misconception was the idea that Israelis do not want to share space with the Arabs in Jerusalem and the other holy sites and such. Then I saw the stats, how many mosques Israel itself built, the reach out, the Palestinian rejections of negotiations and such. Of course, again, it's all about how the media portrays things. Even when I was in the US, it's the same unfortunate dialogue is that both parties do not want to agree. But that's not the truth. There's people on both sides who want peace. And the problem is, as in the case in many political situations, the moderate voices, the peaceful voices are overshadowed by the extremists. Again, on both sides, that's the problem. So the most famous videos or articles that will be more, how do you say it, easier to see for us would be the extremist views, because that's what gets attention. Now, about my exposure to Judaism and Jewish people and Jewish culture. When I was learning English, I asked my teachers to give me easier books to read. And the first book they gave me was the Mouse, the one about the comic book. I don't know if it's the appropriate name. It's more
graphic novel.
Graphic novel. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
about the Holocaust, and it was eye-opening. And then, funny, I moved. Coincidence, I moved to Richmond, and I was living right next door to the Holocaust Museum. So going to the Holocaust Museum of Richmond, Virginia, also made me more aware of the history, of the facts, of such suffering that the Jewish people went through and why the state of Israel needs to exist.
Wow.
So these kind of things affected and shaped my opinion about the whole situation. And again, the differences are there. We have a lot of work to do. I don't, you guys do. But what I mean is there's work to do, but the future looks promising, inshallah, as you see a lot of people on board with UAE and Israel normalization from every single country. They just too afraid to say it and overshadowed by extremist opinions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always the first step that's the hardest, which the UAE already took, and everybody is going to come on board, whether it's 3 months from now, whether it's 3 years from now. Everyone is going to come on board, because for me, the amount of support I had from strangers, Israeli strangers, Jewish strangers, was mind-boggling. It was insane. I didn't have that much support in middle school to pass my classes. I didn't have that much support, but me being insane and doing whatever it is that I want to do, once I decided to go up that building with Ronnie, who is an Israeli, who is Jewish, okay, it wasn't staged. Nothing was staged. We both knew that we wanted peace. We wanted to put out a message, and the message was always peace. Okay, peace starts with the politicians, continues with the youth. This is my quote forever and always. I'm going to live by it. I'm going to die by it. Peace starts with the politicians, continues with the youth. We are doing this for the next generations to come. It's not for us. We lived it. We're in it. It's for the next generations. We want all of the kids to be brought up in a peaceful environment, in a normal environment, like our leaders have done for us. Now we can officially say, yo, we have Israeli friends. Hey, 972 is calling me. Yo, what's good? So it's not just, I mean, this feels right. This is right. Okay. War never brought anything to anybody. Okay. So when people used to comment, can somebody explain to this, a cuss word for me, that there wasn't no war between UAE and Israel? So I was like, so why won't we have normalization then? There was no war to start with, right? So yeah, let's bring peace in. So what? More people should come in. Peace is a great path to walk in, and it needs to be endorsed more. People need to understand this. People need to get it through their heads that war will never solve anything, but have more people dying and then saying this party killed our party, this party killed ours. So stop it in order for people to start living their lives. Hop on board. It's a lovely journey.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
would like to add. I mean, I was actually talking to Israelis today, and I would like to add the normalization. Even if the government did sign the peace, you don't want the cold peace. And how can we avoid the cold peace? Is me and you guys talking, you and us talking. We are all talking to each other. That is how peace can happen. It's not only the government talking to each other. No, it is us. And the example I used when, again, from the story that we both share in the Quran and in the Torah, God parted the sea, but the Israelites and Moses had to go through God could have carried them. We all believe God could do everything. God could carry the Israelites from this side of the sea to the other side. So why did he did not do that? And he opened and he parted the sea. The Israelites and Moses had to take the first step to peace. And what was behind them? The Pharaoh, who was the violence. I mean, I'm using a metaphor for violence, and the peace. It's the people. Moses and the people should take the first step towards peace.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Thani, we've always called you a mensch. I think we'll have to start calling you Rabbi Thani. So we have time for one last question.
One last question. We want to go to Alan Koslow of West Des Moines, Iowa. If Alan is still on the platform.
I just got muted. Hi. I want to first thank you all for this. It was an excellent program. My question is, wasn't relationships before this very good between Israel and the Emirates? So other than the official diplomatic issues, does this change anything on the ground for those Jews who are living in the Emirates, those that want to emigrate to the Emirates, and Emirates that want to visit Israel, or any other way for the average person?
Thank you.
If I may answer, I think like the back channels always existed between the two countries, and it's not a very hidden thing. But the biggest thing for me to be able to talk to Israelis face to face, to be able to meet them, know them, show them who I am, know who they are. And this creates a precedent for other countries to follow. And this reduces the dehumanization that's been going on for generations. This is the big thing. Just amazing. First meeting Dan, it's like surreal. I want to touch that guy. See, is he real? And yeah, it's just it's more humane that way. It was very diplomatic before, maybe very official, but now it's humane. It's actual people-to-people communication, coexistence. This kind of line of thinking is more important, I think, than any political relations.
For the Jewish people who were here, I've met a couple in the same restaurant that we went to, the kosher restaurant. So they're from New York and they're Jewish. And the guy said, I used to live here 2 years ago. I used to live in Dubai 2 years ago. But in order for me to live, I wasn't able to wear my kippah. And I had to wear a baseball hat in order for me to cover. And I saw him again after a second time visiting that restaurant. By the way, it's called Kaf. I saw him again and he said, hey, remember me? I said, of course. How can I forget you? He said, I am still trying to believe that I can wear my kippah around. And I sat there and I told him, sir, I am sorry for what you had to go through. I am sorry on behalf of the whole world for what you had to go through. And he said, you don't have to apologize for anything. It is what it is. But I was like, no, you guys are humans. We see a lot of humans, but very little humanity, which sucks. It sucks big time. Excuse me. I don't know if I can say this, but it's not right. For me, oh, by the way, my Jewish friends, Jewish family, I'm 6% Jewish on my mom's side. DNA test. So
23andMe is not a sponsor.
We should get them on board.
We should, though. They should definitely.
So the Jewish population in the Emirates can peacefully go out wearing the kippah. They can peacefully go out and say we're Israelis or we're Jewish. I am happy that we've reached to that point. Now, as I said, the UAE is a mini world version. So, hello, welcome. Welcome to your home.
I want to add something. So we have the Jewish community of the Emirates, and I've been friends with them long before the Abrahamic Accords. And tell you a funny story. I was invited to Yom Kippur, breaking the fast, and they told me, if you want to attend the service, you're more than welcome, your family. So I attended the service, and the hall was divided into two. Half the hall were like all the men, and then the other half were all the women. And they had a beautiful Torah scroll made out of gold, and it was just incredible. And they were doing all the prayers, so they gave me a book to just to know what they're saying, and I was following in Hebrew. And what's funny, I'm like in my shela and abaya, and I'm sitting between all these Jewish women, and then like the woman in front of me turns around and asks me, hey, which page are we on? And it's funny, but I don't know, it's very strange, but I loved it. It was very spiritual. And also after when they break the fast, they had a table with bottles of water and dates. And we have a tradition, when we break our fast during Ramadan, we have a date and drink water. So it's incredible.
Danny, any last words?
I mean, to be honest, I knew I knew few Jews that lived in the United Arab Emirates. One of them actually lived for more than 30 years, but he's very secular. And but anyways, he was not practicing. But the Jews that I know that were practicing, as Nora said, now they feel more comfortable walking around with the kippah, and this actually makes me more proud of my country, of being acceptable of every religion, every nation, regardless of our differences or our disagreements. So even as friends do disagree, but I'm very proud that UAE took the first step in the Gulf, and and I would say hopefully the first step in the Arab world or in the Arab countries that will be a true peace, not a cold peace like with Jordan and Egypt.
Amazing. Yeah, and it really was a visionary piece, and we hope we here in Israel, and I think Jewish people around the world, have long hoped to become a part of this region and feel a part of this region. And this outstretched hand by the UAE was a brave move, because it's not totally accepted in the Arab world. But I think, I think I mentioned on a previous podcast that I'm starting to view the UAE as sort of the R&D lab of the Arab world. And maybe it's also the R&D lab in a political sense also of the Arab world. And I can tell you, when I met all of you, when I met other Emiratis, I felt an instant connection. I felt like, why haven't we been talking and been friends all along? Family. I think that's okay. And I really think other Israelis are going to feel that way too, and Jews from around the world, if you come to the UAE to visit. So I think we could easily talk for hours longer with our guests, and so many more things that we wanted to get into, but we don't have time. It's already been just a bit over 2 hours, so we have to wrap this up. Any last words, Benny?
I would just like to add that I definitely agree, and can't wait to come to the UAE as soon as possible, and as soon as this situation allows. And I would encourage all of us to try to take this as an invitation to come and visit, and I hope and pray that, and I say this on every episode, that this COVID nonsense gets over as soon as possible, because we know that you guys will be on the first plane over once we allow, once Israel allows foreign citizens to come to Israel.
And
Again,
this time I get to host you for dinner.
And yeah, so that's it.
We have some thank yous. Obviously, thank you, May, Nora, Thani, Ahmed. Thank you so much for sharing from your hearts and from your experiences. And thank you to Bob Feferman, my dad, who got this whole thing rolling from the South Bend St. Joe Valley Federation. Efrat Srebro from ACO, from the Israeli side of the partnership, Michelle Corin in Indianapolis. Thank you to the entire partnership team at the Jewish Agency, Gil Klempert, who put this all together and did a wonderful job getting the word out, and to Brachat Suriel and the entire team. Thank you, all of you, for listening, and we can't wait to see you next time here on
Jewanced.